Welcome, fellow last places, to another episode of LPF Debrief, where Chris and I talk about comic books, movies, and TV shows. And on today's episode, we will be talking about Moon Knight, episode 3, aka the mid-season finale, featured on Disney Plus, featuring Oscar Isaac and directors. Forgot to name them, but write it down. But I will get it for you by the end of the episode. And yeah, and we're going to start the episode the same way we always do, by shaming Yendi for not watching the content that we watch. Shame.
Shame.
And as always, guys, like, subscribe, tell a friend, do all that good stuff. Help us get a little bit more visible, and spoilers ahead. Chris, episode 3. What'd you think?
My favorite one so far. There was a lot of action going around. A lot of the cool switching. A lot of cool moments. So one thing I did appreciate of this episode that I want to get out right off the bat is that they, at a certain point in the episode, whenever Steven and Mark switched, they stopped doing the eye rolling thing and it would just happen seamlessly. So it looks like that's where we're gonna go. Like Marvel's like, okay, you guys get the idea. So we're gonna stop doing that and we can keep going. So it makes everything a little bit more smoother. We got a hint of another alt that's within them that they're trying to figure out, and then also finding out the other avatars, like seeing all the other avatars for the gods and stuff like that. I thought was really cool. So overall, even Bree said this was her favorite one. It was a good episode. There was a lot going on, and it sucks that we only have 3 episodes left. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on there. It was definitely one of the best episodes. It's definitely getting into fruition as far as where we're going with the storyline and all that. They did a lot of cool things with the way, like you said, the camera work and the way that he was transitioning. I love that it was becoming very more seamless. And I love that because we're hinting at a third personality, we didn't see all those things that were happening until Mark took back over.
Mhm.
And it was really cool because it's like, well, we want to keep it a mystery still. And by the way, we can keep it a mystery is, and then it makes you go back and think about all the episodes prior, right? Like, was it always Mark that was taking over Steve when he was like, oh, you're being violent? Because Mark has never actually shown us like taking someone out besides on that roof when he was doing that roof scene. But you haven't really seen anything unless he's in the Moon Knight costume. So it was really cool to know that, again, they're paying homage to the comic books, and they're doing it very well by keeping the premise of Moon Knight, by giving him these different personalities. I know the name of the person who it might be, but I'm not going to say it because, like I said earlier, I don't want to like spoil reveals anymore. So I'm going to hold off on that. But if you do read the comics, you will know who they might be referring to. They could go with someone completely different. It depends. We'll see. But I'm pretty sure they are, hinting at that person. I will say this, the person, and if I'm right, it starts with a J. That's all I'm going to say. That's it. That's all you get. All right. No more information on it. But which is really cool because, like, again, it gives you that whole perception that he is dealing with, and I love that this episode made it a Mark issue, right? Him having Steven as a personality wasn't like a side effect of, being with Khonshu, or being, it's like a literal effect that he's going through. So it's him just creating these different personalities, which I think is really cool. And like I said, it really pays good homage to the comic books and how he has that swapping through different personalities and stuff, because he is a character who's very he is a very troubled character. And I think they very honed in on that in this episode. I think you got a really good feel of why he's having some of these issues, what he's going through essentially. I like I said, the hint of the third personality starts with when he's in the cab and like he's fighting those guys on the rooftop, and then like the guy in the back is like, I mean, the cab driver's like, hey, what do you like? What he's
You
like,
speak
wait, now you're
Arabic?
speaking, yeah, now you speak Arabic, like all of a sudden, because he was like, you're talking like a tourist earlier, and then he was like, where'd you say I was going? To the airport. Then he sees the people he was fighting.
And he's like, I still need to talk to you. And he's like, you let us go. It was
Yeah,
it was a funny moment. I was
It's so
just
good, and it shows like the fight scene was also recorded really well,
oh yeah.
directed really nicely as far as like him running into the fight and doing a bunch of different moves and stuff just to show you kind of that military background, that kind of like you know that that thing. So I love when they show you things like that, right? And you could also see that he is starting to take Steve's advice also, right? Like as far as trying to like not killing people or not trying to do particular things. So I love that you can see how the characters are affecting each other, right?
Yeah.
And again, shout out to Oscar Isaac for just being amazing and showing how he can make different personas just act completely different. And again, we are getting that, we do get to see the post stuff where obviously there's been some edits and some cuts, but still to be able to go to be able to do things that like completely change your character within being in the setting that you're already in, I think like absolutely amazing. So, like you said, we did see some of the other avatars, which is cool. It was a lot of the Egyptian gods, which I remember. Like I said, I'll tell you guys where most of those people got introduced. If you get Thor issue 239, which is a '60s comic, so that's their first appearance. It probably won't be that hard to find, but now that it's out in the open, everyone's gonna go kind of like scattering for
But if
those
you're not,
episodes, like for
if
those
you're not
issues.
looking at collecting, there's also the
Yeah,
app and everything like that to read all
yeah,
those comics.
yeah. If you
But
just want to read it, it was more of a they did like a they were just like kind of, you could see all the Egyptian gods,
mhm.
which is really cool. And like I said, I love that Marvel has introduced the gods into their into the world. I mean, as far as comics, also, I just think it's a really cool thing because you get to see a diversity of all the gods, right? So you have your Norse mythology, you have your Greek mythology with like Hercules, and then now you're adding the Egyptian gods. So it's really cool to see that they do interact in this world, and it also makes it make sense as far as like, oh, these like they do have powers and they do
Mhm.
have all these different abilities that they're able to do. And the reason behind even having avatars I thought was really cool. Like they're like, we don't want to affect the world, which kind of, when you think about it, goes back to Eternals, right? Like it's kind of like the same kind of
Yeah, we're not allowed to
dynamic.
yeah, we're not. Our main focus is this, and
Yeah.
anything outside of that, we are not to intervene at all. So, and I
Yeah.
like that premise of
Mhm.
because it would make it boring if something happened and all these gods come up and they're like, I'm
Mhm.
in, like
No, yeah.
you
I
know
mean,
what I mean.
it
So
it
it's
gauges the
cool.
power level,
Yeah.
right? Because you do want, like, no matter what we say and how we always go, well, I wonder why this person didn't jump in, like, because that doesn't make good movies or good television.
Yeah.
If Khonshu just is able to handle the issue, then we don't get Moon Knight. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not, and this episode definitely shows you what Khonshu's power, like, what it really can be. But then it's also like, did we want to see him just do it himself, or do you want to see the dynamic of the character that he's doing? So like I think it adds more obviously to TV. I think it makes it just better television for these gods to have like a power cap or a reason on why they're not taking care of things. And they did that with the Eternals also, so doing it here just makes sense to us because again, we don't want everyone power level to be like 1,000. All right, it's not Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, I real quick going back to the fighting scenes. I like I kind of like so Marvel always has this formula on doing things, and usually within a fight there's the one part that stood out to me that it's going to blow, it's just a funny moment for everybody else. They always have an intimidating moment. Like the one of the guys that's fighting, which I forgot to pay attention to the second guy on this one to see if he got more work done than the other. I
Oh,
think I
bro.
think he did. I think this is the second guy
It's
that
a
I'm talking
common
about.
thing.
Yeah,
It's a common
so
thing.
usually there's an intimidation, like basically you're seeing the enemy like leveling, like he's getting hyped, he's getting into it, and
Mhm.
you're like, oh shoot. So that part when he's licking the knife to
Yeah.
intimidate, and then it's just a quick cut of just
Yeah.
like
just just a quick face
Yeah,
shot of
just
like a two-piece.
two piece right in the face, and they just break that mentality of like, no, this
Yeah.
is different. Like we need to get this done so I can keep going. Was
Mhm.
awesome. And then also, like you said, that whole scene in genre, just him running around and seeing
Mhm.
that the surprised look on his face that Steven's learning
Yeah.
how to like jump in
Mhm.
also and take control. But I will say Steven gets a little bit annoying whenever he's like they're fighting for each he's Mark is literally fighting for his life. So he's
Yeah.
like, no, don't kill this guy. And then he's
Mhm.
trying to get him to the airport. I'm like, bro, just stay out of the way. Like you're like
Yeah.
this is a very important part that if you guys
Mhm.
mess up, that's it. So
Yeah.
you do get that sense of
Well,
annoyance there.
well, that's the thing with that with the airport scene. I don't think it was actually Steven trying to get in. So I think what happened with the airport was the third personality was in there, probably trying to take over because we don't have any clue. Because remember later on in that episode when we see when everyone dies essentially, when he kills like all those people that are at the desert,
Yeah.
he was
Also,
like,
come on with
Steven, what
that.
do you, yeah.
Yeah, Steven, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Come on.
And he was like,
You
yeah.
mean this whole time?
Yeah.
This whole time, right?
Yeah.
You're like,
So
Steven doesn't know how to fight, and then he's gonna go
mhm,
randomly kill
yeah.
people, and you're gonna be like,
But you know
Steven.
that's
Yeah,
his
but
mindset
that's his
too because he
mindset is
can't
like,
think. He
yeah,
doesn't know who else is in there. Like, and he just thinks, oh, the only person I can talk to is Steven. So maybe he's the person who is the one that's in my body. So yeah, but like you said, it should at that time, I think if he was thinking logically, he and not under like duress because that's what he's under, he
yeah,
would have been like, there's someone else. There has to be someone else in me because Steven wouldn't be the type of person who is just going to go out and kill somebody. So
yeah.
I think that was I thought the trial scene was also amazing, like the initial
Really cool.
trial.
Yeah.
Again, showing off Oscar Isaac's acting chops with the whole like him basically being Conchu in the sense of them taking over and him saying like he's a liar and trying to get Haro into, you know. And then my thing is though, I guess small complaint about that is like I don't understand why Conchu was very like aware and saying like, "Hey, we have to make sure this case is like 100% proven." Like, you know what I mean? But like they didn't work towards anything of
No.
trying to make that case as solid as
And
possible because
he made it seem like he was gonna be the badass. Like, he's like, "Aren't you coming?" He's like, "Oh, I'll be
yeah.
there." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay." And then, yeah, it was just kind of like a kid
Yeah.
pointing fingers, like, "He did this thing to me,"
Yeah.
and
He
like,
kind of didn't have like no and I again, that's part of the TV, but like he didn't have like besides his voice like he didn't have like any vindication
yeah,
that this person was doing anything. Like, why didn't they mention the scarab? He didn't mention, oh, look who has the scarab. Why does he have the scarab? He's trying to do this, or like obviously Haro would have lied about it, right? But still, like he could have still been like, yo, like he has the like accuse him of having things that would have led him to the tomb
yeah,
of Amit. Like, why are you just saying he did it? He's trying to resurrect her, and we don't have like, and then have no reason on why he's trying to do it, or like nothing. Like he had
he had
nothing
no
to back
case.
that
He had
argument.
no case
Like
at
you had
all, and
no
I'm like,
case, and you said that it had to be like this, you know, prove all case, and I was just like, what? You don't have any case here. Like you have nothing to stand on. So, obviously we needed that so that it could go forward in the thing. I just think they could have executed that scene just a little bit better to make it at least so that we can think that maybe they would have some consideration because obviously later on in the episode they were going to side with Haro with just how bad that case was anyway. And Khonshu knew that, right? Going
Mhm.
into the next part, like going into it. So obviously it was great that we got another appearance of Mr. Knight showing up during the fight with Layla and when they go to what's the guy Mograt yeah Mograt's place,
yeah,
they basically,
which
you
was
know,
that cut that I was talking about. I like the
mhm,
transition of just like it's boom,
yeah,
and the suit changed.
yeah,
I was
and
like,
then
this
he's
is
like,
cool.
whoa, whoa, like it was really
Yeah.
cool, and then he was like, take it back,
Yeah, when he
but
gets stabbed, I
like
was like, "This is what I'm talking about, bro." Like,
yeah. So we did get a little bit of connection. Obviously, we all know this is in the same world, but we did get a Falcon and Winter Soldier connection with them talking about Madapur,
hmm
which brings me to which makes me think, has Layla and maybe Agent Carter ever met? Because you know it's kind of like doing that whole like getting these valuable artifacts and you know anything that deals with Madapur or that conversation. You know, probably Agent Carter had something to deal with it, not Carter.
I
What's
thought
her
we were
name?
gonna see.
No,
Oh,
yeah,
you're
Sharon
meaning
Carter. Sharon.
yeah, yeah,
She,
the deal.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's what I was like. Oh, so I
yeah,
was thinking.
Agent 13. It is
Okay, yeah,
Carter. Yeah.
yeah.
So she was talking about Managar. Obviously, we know that's where she stayed off the grid. So we have kind of a connection there that maybe we'll see them later on, see what's going on there. They might have a conversation.
I do
Then
like.
we
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Mhm. Then we do meet Anton Margrat, which is a character. He is actually a character that is in Moon Knight. He's called Midnight Man. He first appears in issue 3 of Moon Knight 1981. If you guys, for my collectors out there, if you guys want to see if you can find a issue of that, I do have an issue of that. I got it the other day, and of course, I already put it in my box, so I didn't take it out because we were doing this rather quickly. And I'll be better about it. I promise. But I do have that issue. So if you guys are looking for that issue of Midnight Man, that is the issue he is in. So
I wanted to say that I do like how Steven's starting to get each episode he went from scared to like,
mhm,
okay, I'm trying to understand, and now he's just completely like, I'm over this. So the clapback that he has with Mark, or whenever he's like, Steven, you killed all these people. He's like, don't talk to me, talk to the crow and all this other stuff. Like him getting upset. I'm like, okay, this is good. I like this. Like
mhm,
he's starting to find like, okay, I need to, like, I'm here also, and I'm not gonna just take backseat. Like we're gonna do
mhm,
this, and I get an input. I get a say on what's going on. I
yeah,
did want to ask, what did you think about the whole? Me and Bree were talking about when he talks about his what is it? Mark knowing
mhm.
her father, Layla's
Yeah.
father, and
What was going to happen there? Yeah.
yeah. So I was like thinking, okay, maybe he either you know
Mhm.
killed him by, or like something happened there, or um he used to be an avatar also.
So, so since this wouldn't be a spoiler, but basically, now that we've gotten Layla's story,
Yeah.
her character can now be connected to who she is representing in the comic book. So the comic book character is actually Marlene Alorn, who is actually she's an archaeologist. The same, like she has the same story as Layla.
Mm-hmm.
It just appears that like they just changed the name, which is a common thing. But we did find the source, and what happens is her father is an archaeologist also, and what happens is Mark actually does witness the murder. So I did kind of
Uh,
spoil that, I guess, but I'm sorry if you, well, spoiler alert, but it's too late. But anyway, but basically he sees the witness. That, again, that's something that could change. It
yeah,
could be
they'll probably
something
change it.
completely
Yeah,
different.
it'll make it. I
It
think.
could be like, I mean, he witnessed it. So like in the comic book, so that could be something that happened. So obviously it does when Haro does say that information, he's obviously trying to, knock him off his, what, everything that he said was true. Like he is trying to knock her off, but he does know something. And I mean, that's kind of an obvious thing where he would know something, being that, they they were he probably would have known because her father in the comic actually dies when he actually finds Khonshu's tomb. So that I think is what the storyline they most likely are going to go with, him having some kind of knowledge, or what they probably are going to do is have he's probably going to have like a direct contact or direct reasoning on his death. So I
Yeah.
think that's what's going to happen at some point, maybe episode 5. I would take, because or 4, so that they could have that moment where he kind of like, why didn't you tell me, you know
And
all
also,
that good stuff.
Haro this episode got really like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
He was
he
Yeah,
bro,
he wasn't playing any games,
no,
which is good. I mean, because he's found what he was looking for, right? He
yeah,
knows that it
yeah,
exists, and I think that's giving him more vindication because now he knows how close he is to
and he's
achieving
buying
what he
time.
wants
He's
to
really
achieve,
good at
right?
buying time. Whenever he's
Yeah,
like, no matter what, you keep digging,
yeah.
and then he goes
Well,
and
of
take
course.
care of everything else. He gets through the trial. He shows up at the when they're trying to find the map to get to the tomb. He's
Hmm.
there to be like, oh, let me show
Yeah,
you my power. Destroys the like destroys
yeah.
the evidence basically, to like,
Hmm.
so they can't get to where they need to go.
Yeah,
Um,
and then we
yeah,
definitely see, again, going back to that scene, we see them have that conversation again, between Steve and Mark, trying to like, he's like, hey, listen, I need you to like figure this out. Like we're pressed for time. I need you to do this. And then he starts to, again, we see that relationship, that bond starting to build, which is great. And then obviously he's doing that, and then we see a conversation between Haro and why do I keep forgetting his name off the top of my head? I got it here. And Anton, we see them have that conversation and basically saying, like, I can open your eyes. Let me show you that power,
yeah,
that all of these things you've been collecting, like I can show you. what it's about. And it was a good way of hiding the fact that he was about to destroy something that was worth a lot of money. So, but also just making it, because you can tell Anton himself is a very like strong believer in preserving the, the information and all that. So him being able to see the power of the Egyptian gods and all that like in fruition, he's like, oh snap, like this is real. Like all that
Yeah.
stuff that I've been reading and collecting about, this is not anything fake. So we see that. And another thing is I get it that Mark didn't want them to know that he's Moon Knight, like, you know what I mean, or like trying to hide the identity or whatever the case may be. But like I feel like in that terms, and especially with the fact that he knows um everyone there, he's probably going to end up, killing them.
Killing
I
it.
I don't understand why he didn't just transform there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if he was trying to hide it from Anton, but you would have had to assume Haro already knows because he used to be an Avatar,
Hmm.
right? So you would have to be under the assumption that he was Moon Knight at one point, right? So from that happening to the sense of like, why didn't you just change there and just start taking people out? I know Steve was kind of like talking and saying like, and then Layla was like, but like at that point you knew it was gonna go down. Like, and that was one of those moments where I feel like he should have just instantly transformed and started taking people out. Of course, we wouldn't have gotten the cool ass scene where he's ended, but like we could have done that scene in under different circumstances of us seeing the cape looking like a moon, which obviously, like I said, was a dope scene. I
Yeah, it
feel like
was.
they only did that so we could get that shot. Like, you know what I mean? But I feel like we could have done it just a little bit with a little bit better of a flow. So overall though, that scene obviously when he jumps off is amazing. And seeing the iconic cape and having the moon crest on it, I thought was amazing. So I thought a lot of that was cool. Obviously, we saw all the fight scenes with Moon Knight was amazing. Again, we get that switch. Again, where he does the switch, I mean, we get that switch. Ends up doing seeing Mr. Knight. Then he's like, all right, go back in. Let's like takes him out. And then an interesting thing that I also noticed is Anton. I kind of I as we all if you guys didn't know, Anton the actor Gaspard Ulliel is the one who passed away in the skiing accident. So rest in peace to him. But I think what they did here was I don't think he was initially meant to die,
Hmm.
like because we know how Moon Knight throws the thing at him and then it kind of like clips him in the back and then he goes off in the dust. I think they did that just so like when he comes back, because again, he is Midnight Man in the comics. I'm wondering if they're going to try to like like have him show up as just in costume, because unfortunately we can't use the actor. So I'm wondering if that was the reason why they had him go off in the dust, because you notice he doesn't fall off.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see if that's what the case they're trying to do, just so they can keep his name up there. And I'm pretty sure they don't want to recast it, so like as a tribute for his family and stuff.
Hmm.
So I thought that was a nice touch that Marvel did. Essentially, I mean, again, I'm not saying that's what happened, but to me, that's what it feels like. That way, you don't have to recast the character. And then I know sometimes within contracts and like that, as long as the character's name is on there, the family would collect royalties and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that's what they did, and if it is, I think that was an awesome touch by Marvel to do it that way.
Yeah, man.
But
It's
yeah, and then we see the esophagus get thing. We seen it get rebuilt by Steve. They have that full conversation again, and then Khonshu shows off his real power, saying that look, finally gets a little sentimental, right? Not being as tough, and he's like, I can remember every night and all that stuff, and literally goes back in time to fix the sky into the night.
and then
So
you see
like
people getting out of the car. They're like, "What the hell is
yeah, like
going
what's
on?"
going on. And we know after having that conversation with the council that that was completely against the rules,
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing that. And he knew, and Conchu knew that,
Yeah.
because he said, when the gods come after me, tell Mark to make sure he can, which what makes you believe that he fully does trust Mark, even though they're having like this this battle of essentially like, I don't
Yeah.
want you to
Like.
do this.
Hmm.
But you can tell the first person, he was like, let make sure Mark knows like that he needs to come save me. So, and I thought that was cool. And then they get the information they need, and then we see Haro finally see the he sees and has a really good monologue there at the end. To basically saying like, if at the end of the day, this is because of you, because of the way that you made me. So we find his motive and why he's doing what he's doing. And I thought that Ethan played that perfection, and he was just like, you could feel that anger and that like sense of peace also with him, and knowing what he's accomplishing is what he needs to do. And I thought that capped off the episode really well.
Yeah.
So yeah, all right. Before we go, what was your favorite part of the episode?
Favorite part of the episode is probably that ending scene. I thought it was really cool how he's teaching Steven. He's like, do what I do. And and is actually using the point of the, so he was using the avatar wrong, because we found out from the council. That's what I picked up on, was just like, you know, these guys are to learn from us and everything like that. And instead he's using his avatar as a tool to get,
Well, because he's banished and exiled, so he feels a certain kind of way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
he wants to redeem himself, so he's using his avatar for redemption.
So that was the moment of just like, okay, I'm this is a teaching moment for you, and now we're working together instead of you just working for me. So and I thought that was a really cool moment, and the scene, how everything shifted and everything looked so cool. Awesome. And seeing it from other people's point of view looked really cool. And that's probably my favorite moment.
Yeah, for me, I think it was the Haro basically giving us why his goal and what he was doing and why he was doing it, and kind of having that animosity and being like, listen, it's because of you that I'm doing all this, and because of the way that, you know, it felt, and you can feel that. And again, we, you know, there's going to be two sides to the story. We'll probably find out later on in the scene. I'm pretty sure Haro is going to have some type of, you know, armor, which is going to set up that, like, you know, last fight. So yeah, overall I think that was a really cool scene. It just shows off, you know, me, I love when people show off that those great acting chops, and I definitely thought that was a great moment to show off the acting. So that would have been my favorite moment for me. But yeah, so guys, thank you for joining us today. As always, we will have Halo out for you guys sometime on Sunday. So that's the next time you guys will see us. And then since we didn't have a show, actually, we are going to have a live show on Tuesday. So if you guys please come check that out. Obviously we'll have all the notifications and stuff like that. We do apologize for not having the show, but we are going to have these two videos for you guys this week, so you guys will be able to see us. So like I said, Halo will be coming out on Sunday, and then we'll be doing that live show on Tuesday. So thank you guys once again. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And until next time, Fire Team out.